All right, boys and girls, yesterday we had, for the 15th, we had a story problem. It said there were 11 birds on the windowsills. Some of them flew away, and now there are only 3. How many birds flew away? And what we figured out was, if we start with what we know, what we knew was 11, and what we also knew is how many were left. And we figured out that in between there, 8 of them moved away. And some kids figured out that if you count from 3 up to 10, that was 7, and then one more would be 8. That would get you to 11. Today we're going back to what's called a number rack. And the number racks are kind of cool. We're going to be doing a lot more with them later on. So on today's card, you'll notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red balls, and then 1 white. And down below there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 white. So what we're talking about is what's pushed to the left. The way we start the number rack is all of the numbers get pushed to the right, and then we're talking about the ones that are pushed to the left. So we have 6 on the top and 6 on the bottom. So I'm going to come over here to our chart, and we're going to record what we know. And I need my purple marker. And so we know that today it is the 16th, so I'm going to write 16 down here. And the way we would say this date is today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. And we're changing from a story problem to a number rack, and I just use the abbreviation L or N for number and then rack. And we have we had 6 on one side plus 6 more, and that equals 12. Now, again, we talked a little bit about the magic number of 20. We want all of our equations to end in 20. So we're already at 12 right here, so I'm going to record 12 right here. And then I want to figure out what number would we need to add to get to 20. So I'm going to pause the video for a second and give you a chance to think about that. And then I'm going to ask some people, share their strategy. How did they figure out what number goes there? All right, so we've just paused the video. I've given you a chance to think about this for a minute. And some of you might have some different strategies. That's great. But I know that this is the number that fits in here. And that's the number 8. And one of the reasons I thought about that is thinking about the number 10 and how 12 is 2 more than that. And I know that 10 plus 10 would be 20. So if I have 2 more on this side, then I would have 2 less on this side. You may come up with a different strategy than that. That's the one that worked for me. So I'm going to slide over to the clock now and kind of catch up on some of the dates. I'll be right back. I'm going to get a marker. And remember, this month what we're doing is we're counting every day as if it's 60 minutes. So yesterday we got to the number 11 o'clock, and I forgot to add the minutes to that. So we were at 600 minutes. I know that 600 plus 60 is 660. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 more hour. So I'm going to start by where we left off. And by the way, my stepson Lane is our photographer today. Lane, thank you for the help. So I'm going to start at 11, and I'm going to go 60 minutes, which is 1 trip around the clock, and watch how the little hour sign changes. We're not at 12 o'clock yet. Even though it looks like it's pointing right to it, we only get to 12 o'clock when we reach right there. And all of the hour hand and the minute hand are lined up. So now we're at 12 o'clock. I'm going to record that. And I'm going to leave that up for you too, so you'll be able to see what that looks like when you get back to school. And what's interesting is I have filled in the entire pie here. And down below we talked about the difference between AM and PM. So I've got these little markers up here. One of them is for AM, and then one of them is for PM. So I'm going to move this down here because at 12 o'clock is when we're at starting starting the PM. And I'm gonna move that to PM. Now, if I add 60 to 660, that's going to get me to 720. I know that's kind of a big number for us, 720. What we haven't got to yet, and I wanna talk about, is our odd and even chart. I'm just gonna get focused on that. And what I have here is two colors. I've got a blue squares and I've got green squares, and they're magnetic and they stick. And I'm gonna count the top and then I'm gonna count the bottom. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom. That would be the number 9. So I kind of started the year pretending that we were in the 9th day of the school year. So I'm gonna add tomorrow's, and then I'm gonna add, or yesterday's, and then I'm gonna add today's. So I'm gonna add a couple more squares. But the first thing I want you to notice how on the top, they're not the same. The blue numbers are more than the green markers. When two numbers are different by 1, then we could say that they're odd. So these are odd numbers because this blue marker does not have a partner. So we're gonna give him a partner because yesterday it was the 10th day, pretend, of school. Now we have an even number, 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom. 5 plus 5 equals 10, and that's an even number. So for today, we're gonna add one more, the 11th day for pretend, and the 11th day would go back to being an odd number because he does not have a partner. All right, that's it for our calendar math today, or I'm sorry, our number corner today. When we come back tomorrow, we'll record these odd and even numbers. Plus, we'll start our big, long, year-long number line that marks every single day of the year. All right, that's it for Number Corner today. We'll see you tomorrow.